been 133 days since Amy Coney Barrett joined the Supreme Court, filling the seat of the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. While conservatives have championed her from the get-go, many people loyal to the former president haven't been exactly thrilled with what has been a moderate voting record so far. We're going to talk about that and more with former Assistant U.S. Attorney David A. Katz, up late with me on the Final Five. Good to see you again, David.
It's great to be with you.
Talk to me here about Amy Coney Barrett. So here was somebody who she was really talked up as a potential Supreme Court justice throughout pretty much the entire Trump term. And let's be honest, few presidents get to do what former President Trump did, which was appoint 3 Supreme Court justices. Do you think so far the base, the conservatives, the conservative base has been pleased with his 3 selections, including Justice Barrett?
Well, I think they have been, and I think that they ought to be. There was the case about opening up churches, including in California, which I think most conservatives, and especially religious conservatives, would have viewed as a vote that they agreed with. But on her, I think that she's going to be a moderate. I think she's going to be governed by precedent. I think that's the way it ought to be. We can, manage our affairs and know what the future is going to be a little bit more predictably when we have justices who follow precedent. So I think it's very important to follow precedent. I think she will. And I think her vote on the environmental case, which just came up about a week ago, was, I think, quite moderate. In fact, Justice Kagan, who was appointed by President Obama, joined her. She didn't join the other 2 Democratic-appointed justices. She actually agreed with Justice Barrett. So I'm hoping for good things from Justice Barrett, that she'll obey precedent, which is what she's supposed to do. But yes, it was a remarkable achievement, wasn't it, that in 4 years, 3 U.S. Supreme Court picks out of 9.
And there were a lot of people, especially on the left, that believed that President Trump was sort of setting the stage, especially considering how quickly the Barrett confirmation process went, that he wanted her in place in the event that this had the election with the Supreme Court. But case after case after case was rejected. And just a couple of days ago, they opted not to hear a case about Wisconsin. Do you think that people were, should I say, overreacting? Were they hyperbolic leading up to her confirmation about how she may rule on these when she hasn't exactly gone the way that everybody expected her to go?
Well, I think that they were hyperbolic. I think there was also some offense about the process that was carried forward. I think it was a little bit like Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh is always going to have to be under the shadow of what a lot of people consider a rush to judgment and a stormy confirmation hearing. Now, Barrett didn't have that, but I think a lot of people thought there was a rush to judgment. I mean, in fairness to both sides, remember, these were the Republicans who said when it was Merrick Garland that they shouldn't have an appointment to the Supreme Court during the year or the 8 months before the election. Here was somebody just a month or 2. It did seem a bit hypocritical. I hope I don't offend anybody, but I think it was a bit hypocritical. At the same time, they really wanted Barrett. They had the 50 or 51 votes to get Barrett, and they meant to do it, and McConnell pushed it through. That's why people are so surprised that McConnell and Trump came to loggerheads, because he was the most obedient, lapdog at getting the Trump agenda through. And to see them now having this fight seems really remarkable. Of course, there was the January 6th, riot and insurrection, which, of course, caused a huge rift between a lot of Republicans and other Republicans, and I think that was the last straw for McConnell and Trump.
In my last about 30 seconds here, what surprises me, because you worked in the Reagan administration, but you stand on necessarily the other side of the political fence, but when you look at how everything has shaken out so far, I think everybody seems to believe that Supreme Court justices always vote in blocks, and it's a predictable vote. But look at John Roberts in the Affordable Care Act. Nothing is predictable in the Supreme Court, especially this one.
Well, the famous appointment by President Reagan, and I was in his administration, was Justice Kennedy. And didn't he turn out to be a moderate? And I think Roberts will be a moderate. And I think if somebody can take the long view, they'll be happy that there are moderates who are bound by precedent on the U.S. Supreme Court. I think that's good for everybody.
David A. Katz, a wealth of knowledge when it comes to the Supreme Court and everything else. Good to see you tonight. Thanks for staying up late with us.
It's great to be with you.
Final Five back after the break.